No, I'm fine. I can't. I'm not ready.
This is our Monday process, okay? We
Yes,
have
and
to
the
make
last
sure.
time we actually got this in the stream at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I'm not ready. If I have to leave, I'm gonna have to leave. You guys are gonna have to hold down the fort. It is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it.
There's a checklist every Monday. Number 1 is, does JJ's stuff work?
Yes.
Number 2, did KP poop today?
It's it's props poop.
Yeah.
Basically.
This is how we roll every Monday.
I had such a joke when you said hold on the fort, and I was like, we're live now.
No, it's fine.
My brain's like, ooh, no, but no. Now that I've learned how to pop out chat as well, this is awesome. Let's just do a sound check for real.
I'm already live, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just. Let's just do a sound check for real. Okay, everyone can hear me. Cool. There we go. 5 people have joined in and not saying a word. Hello, Tessa. Oh, so you already gone live on your side?
Yeah, man, I'm live.
Whoa, well then, welcome everyone to another creature feature, which maybe on Reiha's side is called
isn't working.
Oh, who said that? What?
On KP's end.
Oh God.
My bot's dead. It's alright, I'll fix him. Don't worry.
And welcome everyone
it's not critical to the stream.
Welcome to the Otter and Animal Stream creature feature. Today's event, we're just going to be taking some general questions about your favorite mammals. Obviously, maybe you would want to focus on marine mammals, but you can ask about anything. And if you've already asked, I'll take a look on. I saw some odd questions on my Discord, but hopefully people have been on yours as well. But yeah,
I already copied them.
Yay!
Reiha's ahead of it.
On both ones or just on just your one? On just KP's one? I need to.
Oh no!
No, on your Discord, I pulled everything already.
Ah, thank you. Cool. Oh, because I see a lot of questions. God damn, people. Well done. Okay, well then.
They came to our rescue when we realized we hadn't planned anything yesterday.
Yes, we had nothing planned. So thank you to those who posted questions. And on my background today, we will be featuring the very cute otters at Monterey Bay Aquarium, who are all napping at the moment in their little tent.
Nice. We're gonna be intermittently watching the ferrets, as well as my new freaking obsession, which is this
the critter vision.
Cam. Yeah,
there's
little baby geese roaming around today. So
yes, I was streaming that earlier, and I got the raccoons eating with the geese, and then the squirrels came, and then there was a little goslings. I was like, so critter cam, yes.
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with my bot, guys. The bot's not working, so sorry.
The bot's having a day. So
I don't know. I don't know how to fix it.
Guys, okay, on my side, if you ever join on my Discord, please always click on the live stream, because I stream 3 of them at one go. We have the Critter Vision, we have our otters, and we have the Monterey Bay otters. But yeah, Critter Vision's amazing. Amazing. Okay, so Tessa, do you want to go with the first question? Sorry, we've digressed a bit.
As usual.
Yes, always.
Okay, so the first question, this is actually from your Discord server, and it was, do the older otters at Van Aqua teach the younger ones new tricks and skills?
Oh, so like actual behaviors? No, not so much that kind of stuff. But they definitely teach them how to be naughty, and so they can definitely learn from like watching, Katmai take apart her habitat or whatever, those types of things. But in general, I don't think like the otters don't really like the behaviors they learn from us are are either for fun or for some kind of husbandry purpose, but whatever the purpose is, the animals don't care about it. They're very much behaviors that we care about because we know that it's good for them in some way, or it serves a certain purpose. But as far as for if like the animals aren't going to be like, oh my god, this is so cool, I want to teach it to somebody. So that doesn't happen as much, but they're definitely capable of learning through other people, or other animals. But those are mostly going to be like the naughty things that we don't actually want them to learn.
Which and they obviously, I'm assuming they pick it up just by looking at what the otters are doing and being like, I want to try that too. That looks entertaining.
It's more like, does this behavior serve me a purpose? Oh, okay, cool.
I'm gonna do it too, because I notice the otters always want to steal the toys the other otters have. There can be a million.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it's so well. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw when I gave them literally every single toy that they can have, and they all just wanted the exact same one, and I'm like, okay. It's I mean, kids are like that too, right? You only want what the other kid is playing with. You could have not been, that the toy, you've been playing with has been old and you haven't wanted to use it for a really long time, but then the second that somebody else wants it, that's the only one you want. So
yes, that's true. If I can ask a question, it's somewhat related to the behavior thing, and maybe it's something, maybe it's not, but I've been dying to ask this myself. Is there a valid reason or no reason at all that in the recent 2 weeks Katma has seemed to have changed her behavior a little bit? More so, she's been all over the little otters and all over everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Being Taz, basically.
So, it's so annoying. So, I mean, there's not like a... It's hard to say. We were actually very surprised that she didn't do this when we first introduced Joey. She often does this when we first introduce a new younger pup. So this is not the first time that Katmai's done this. So we're not concerned about it. It's just and we've had other females do this before as well. So it's just a female, hormonal kind of behavior from her. But it's a little bit weird that it just came on all of a sudden, because she's been totally fine and Joey was like teeny tiny. She could have been a mom to him back when it actually mattered. Yes. Now he's like he's bigger than Taz basically, so it's not it doesn't make any sense. As far as why it's happening now, it's very difficult to say. She's just feeling hormonal. She's feeling very motherly. It's very disruptive. So usually it just passes just like a phase, and I don't know, it's hard to say what exactly the triggers are,
to have that happen.
It's springtime or what's up, so it's hard to say. And it's really funny because the second you take the kids away from her, she goes back to being like totally normal, and then you reintroduce them and it's back to just being insane pants. So it's just something that we're having to deal with. I mean, she's done this before. Like I said, other females have done this before, so it's just kind of something that we have to deal with every now and again.
Because I was gonna.
I don't know why. I mean, there obviously is a reason, but we'll just never really know, because we don't really know what's going on inside of her body. But something's telling her that she needs to be mom to everybody right now, or everybody who's less than 2 years old is like.
Because she's been, I remember, just a week before it was a joke that Joey chased Katma and Mac was chasing Joey. Now it's like Joey's like, whoa, what is this? You've turned around. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny too, because some of the other animals will like kind of feed off of this. I don't know if you guys noticed. I'm sure you guys did, because you guys always notice everything. But last week, when I think it was just a week ago, when we separated Katma when she was being really, really bad with Taz and Joey. Then Max started being like that too, because I feel like they just kind of feed off each other's energy and are like, oh, all right, we're kicking the shit out of this guy, like, let's go, but it's not really. I don't know. It's hard to say what's going on in their heads, what's going on in their bodies all the time, but it's a phase. It'll pass. She's fine. They're fine.
Well,
we on our side, we obviously when it becomes disruptive to the baby otters, yes, that is a concern. But I mean, on our side, we're just seeing Katma being cute. I think the nickname she's got right now is Cat Mom. Because she's purposely bumping into Otters like, oh, I'm sorry, I was busy grooming, by the way.
Yeah, it's usually not that big a deal, except for when, like, last week she was actually preventing Taz from, like, eating, which is like, okay, you're not allowed to do that now, you know? So it really kind of depends, and you know, sometimes she can work it out of her own system, so it'll be fine.
I don't think we notice Mac as much because on our side we always see him following Joey. He's like the cute big brother, like, where you go, I'll go. For no reason.
Someone on Evie in my chat is just like, oh, Katmai's British? Because you did the Katmai voice.
She's the queen.
I'm like, yes, obviously.
I just got the thing. Joey's bigger than Taz. I told you he was chunky.
Yeah, he's chunky. Yeah, I mean, I think it's at least very, very close. But I think he weighs just a little bit more than Taz does.
And so fast. We just know.
Yeah.
Like, I literally took a photo. Sorry, we're digressing again. We literally took a photo, and I'm so glad to say this. He has not grown into his nose. His snoot next to Taz was enormous when they were floating next to each other.
I know. Big. Yeah, he's still uniquely. He's still got that one eyebrow.
Yes, that's one thing that sticks out like an antenna.
Yeah, and his ears stick out ridiculously far from his head. Most of the otters, like, they kind of lie flat on their head. Yes. If you look at his stick straight out, like just like at a 90-degree angle from his head. I'll try to take a picture this week.
Someone write that down immediately.
It's one of the ways that I use to tell them apart now because it's almost impossible.
I just know next to Taz's cheeks are extremely puffy, and she has this little thing where she keeps her mouth open. I think because she does that suckling with her tongue, she always has a little bit of a mouth open. She looks like she's blowing bubbles. It's just
she's super cute.
Okay, sorry. Next question. Oh, we got into Otters.
we got distracted again.
Actually, so there's a comment in chat from Jenny. And it was talking about the otters and like the females and their cycles. That's actually tied into the second question, and you guys already kind of talked about it a bit. Because it was pertaining to Katmai's behavior recently, like that obsessive behavior that she's been doing, and is it tied to some type of hormonal cycle? Or
yes. I would pretty confidently say it definitely has something to do with her hormones. It's weird that, like, sea otters don't have specific hormonal cycles per se because they can actually breed at any point during the year. So they don't have necessarily like a breeding season per se. So it's hard to say like why it's happening now or what's going on, what triggers these types of things, because technically they can reproduce at any point in time throughout the year. There's not really like they just do, springtime breeding or anything like that. So yeah, it's definitely some sort of cycle thing, but as far as maybe somebody somewhere knows, but I certainly don't know exactly why it's triggered at this point in time and what the triggers actually are. It's so hard to say. So yeah, it's just something that we're just not really sure of. We just kind of like deal with the symptoms of. I know that doesn't really answer the question, but
but hormones do play an impact. But it just, as you said, they just suddenly happen, so it can happen anytime.
And they don't really have Jenny's asking, menstrual cycles. Not really. There are some animals who do menstruate, which is kind of weird. Or I think it's weird. I don't know. Maybe I guess it's not really, but yeah. So they don't really have like. It's not like a monthly thing. It's not like a yearly thing. It's just like they're always in season, so to speak. But yeah, I'm not really sure. But it's also like she's not wanting to breed. Like she's not like, she's not like interested in the males. She's wanting to be a mom to these. So it's kind of almost a different thing. So I don't understand. I don't know what it is. I don't know why she's doing it, but yeah, it's gonna be fine. Hopefully it'll be over soon.
She'll be fine, and the kids will go back to normal. I think the kids are getting a taste of their own medicine, to be perfectly honest. Just giving them life lessons. Like, this is what it's like to be annoying. Oh, gosh.
Anyway.
Next question.
Yep, our next question is the swan or apple pose with Kunik. Why is Kunik so interested in the base of her tail, so to speak?
Okay, we're going to explain this one time.
Yes.
And then I'm done with it. So, Kunik is essentially pleasuring herself. If you could do it, you would too. Don't lie to me.
Yes, if you had the spine for it.
The boys do it too. It's self-reinforcing behavior, and that's what's happening. And now we can be done. We can be done with it.
Kunik doesn't need a Newman.
Yeah. And it's the same reason that Mac relentlessly humps a bucket all day long. It's because it's fun. He likes it. Same with the animals. Yeah, I mean, animals of all different kinds do that type of behavior. Like dolphins. Our dolphin used to, if we put a hose into the pool, she would like go near the hose end. I mean, like, it's just like all animals do it, guys. Like,
there's a whole thing
humans,
about dolphins.
Animals, the whole thing. So yeah, le gasp.
Yeah, like animals like to do that. Like,
oh yes, yeah, very much so.
Yes,
Anyway,
moving on very quickly.
That's what it is.
Yes.
So many glass ceilings have been broken in this chat.
And hashtag, that's what the queen
you've
does
just
as well.
destroyed everyone's ignorance is bliss. Like,
well, but I've answered that question multiple times. I've said it many times.
Yeah.
If you've had the blinders on, that is not my fault.
I like in my chat, they went my innocence. I thought Kunik apple to clean her butt. I'm like, listen, do we all think that it takes that long to clean a butt? Well, in that retrospect, like.
Yeah, no, they're not really. She's not focused on her butt that much.
Yeah.
Or maybe she is, to each their own, you know.
Yeah, it's like this. But the fact she's been copying a cat knife, that to me is the most disturbing part. If we're going to talk about that, to me is like, out of all the things you learn from another otter, like, what are you doing? Ooh.
Oh my god!
Let's hold the phone. Now you know why she has what is it? Kunik's corner. Like, leave me alone.
I didn't realize that you guys called it the swan pose, and I get it now because the tail sits like that. Funny.
That was Uno. She's actually drawn. She drew the swan pose, and she drew, what's that snow game where you throw that thing across? It's like an ice thing. You throw that kettlebell across. She's also drawn it as that. So it's the apple pose, the swan pose, and the other pose. Yeah.
And Joey was the duckling.
Yes,
because he was doing it for a while when he was a lot smaller.
That's funny. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So we just keep it. Yes, the curling iron. That's it. The curling iron. Thank you, Wendy. It's the curling iron. Now we can move on to the next question.
Now that we've got that uncomfortable thing out of the way.
Oh yeah, sorry. Periscope. I had to add that in. The Periscope.
Oh yeah. Okay, our next question, getting away from all of that, is have the cameras and wigglers changed how things are done at the aquarium?
Oh, good question. Yeah, I in some ways, like, I think we're very conscious of the fact that you guys are watching, and that we like if we're gonna, normally if we were going to do enrichment sessions and stuff like that, we wouldn't really pay too much attention to where we're doing them or things like that, or where the animals are, that type of thing, just because it's not really like it for the animals. It doesn't matter where the play sessions happen, but I feel like now we try when we can to make sure that they happen where you guys are able to see them, especially like big events like birthdays and stuff like that.
Yes.
I think I think it's changed a lot of things for everybody. I don't think it's really changed the way that we operate necessarily, but it's definitely changed maybe the way that we look at certain things, and it's definitely, like, for me, it's really provided an avenue to still have those like human animal connections, like to still feel like I'm building that. It was such an important part of my job, or what I thought was really important at the aquarium was engaging and inspiring people and teaching people about animals, and so it's kind of filled that void in a lot of ways, for me at least, and made me feel like we're not just here working by ourselves. Like there's people here, they're just not in the traditional sense of the word, but they are here. So yeah, I mean, in that way, it's it's definitely like that's sort of the role that it's filled for me. But yeah, it hasn't really changed like the way we do things necessarily, except for that we are conscious of, especially early on when we, whether or not Joey was on camera was a little bit of a bigger deal when he was a little bit younger. Now it's kind of like all the otters are important. So we don't feel as bad about, when Joey has to go to the back for a little while. It's not really like that big a deal because there's other otters to watch and things like that. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So it's like yes and no. It's changed, some things, but it's not really. I don't find it to be enormously impactful, especially now that he's not as young, and so it doesn't feel like it's as. Like you guys are just there. It's just what it is. So I actually really like when you guys find funny clips and I get to watch those.
Yes.
So yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question. Like it's not like we were doing things like crazy different before you guys came along, but
yeah.
But now we're just now we just know that somebody's watching.
Well, it's definitely. I'm still surprised at this day how entertaining the Otters can be daily. Like I know for some there's talk about the novelties worn off in there, but the fact there's always a funny clip with them is actually you didn't think that they would be so entertaining every day. Like they just sit and lie down, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my god, they just did that.
No, for sure. And like honestly, one thing that's been really nice is that because we have the live cam, now we get to watch the animals more than we normally would. And like watching the animals is actually really, really important for understanding what's going on. And we'd only get to see them 5-6 times a day whenever we come out to hang out with them. And then it's a completely different situation than when they're just hanging out by themselves, right? So getting to actually see like their normal behaviors and watch them that way is not just entertaining, but it's actually very useful for us as their caretakers to know what they're up to and know what's normal for them, and even being able to go back and be like, oh, okay, they were scared because a goose landed in the habitat. That's probably why they're acting a little weird, something like that. So yeah, so in that way, it's been really nice, and then it's like the added cuteness of getting to actually watch them do fun things too is really nice.
If I may ask, from the stream perspective, and that, do you think it's had a positive impact on the caregivers as well, even from like a social media aspect and things like that? Has it been a very big advantage in that way?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I said, like I've been able to like find a voice and kind of a purpose through it, because there all of a sudden there was an audience, and So that's been really, really nice. I mean, I think some people care about that kind of stuff and some people don't. And I was always somebody who felt like it was a really big part of the job. And some of the trainers don't think about that part of the job at all, which is totally fine. You know, they're more like animal focused, and I try to do a little bit of everything. But yeah, so it's definitely been like it's a platform for sure. For sending messages and stuff like that. So
yeah, so being a gift to everyone.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, definitely. It's also just a nice aspect to almost, I know I use that word very vaguely, but almost have like caregiver celebrities. I mean, I think the series that came out on Cottage Life was so much more impactful since it already had a fan base, and everyone's like, Dr. Marty, oh, this, KB's going to make a video.
Yeah.
It's like that's, it's been a very, it's very, very different experience from what what's
nice is like that it's struggle bus. Oh, he got it. Sorry, Ferret's just trying to hide them.
I just hear the ruckus.
Yeah. So I think what's kind of cool about this is it doesn't just have followers. I mean, it has like a few just followers here and there, but for the most part, it has fans.
Yes.
You know, people are a fan of this, and it's and that's when it starts to develop a lore and become a little bit more than like to have a life of its own rather than just being a live cam that people watch. It's you know, it's got a life of its own.
Absolutely. And can we move into the next question?
Yep. Our next question is, are you going to put the chunky boy on a diet?
It's a good question. In general, otters shouldn't really need diets. They have very high metabolisms, and they really only eat as much as they need, especially with a younger animal. I can't really imagine a scenario in which we would, put him on a diet. He's still growing. So we do not want to inhibit that process in any way. And in general, like sea otters, they just eat as much as they need. So who am I to say how much that is? So he is a little bit round around the middle, but I think he's going to grow into it. No, he can pretty much have however much he wants, but I don't think he's not like morbidly obese, guys. He's just a little rotund. He's just he's just a little round around the middle, and it's just it's just the way that his body is right now. But I think he's gonna grow into it. Yeah, he's got a lot of growing to do. He's gonna get a lot longer, and so no, he's not going on a diet. Don't worry. Chunky forever. Yes. Hashtag chunk for life.
King Chunk. That's what King Chunk. And it's like, we like him chunky. And he does get very long. I'm still surprised he's as long as Taz now. My gosh. But yes, he's a little squishy.
Yeah. We also in general, the animals in zoos and aquariums tend to be maybe a little bit bigger than they would be out in the ocean because as humans we just overfeed things. But it can be a benefit for us if an animal ever does get sick and they've got a little bit of extra weight on them. Yeah. Then we've got a little bit of extra time, to get animals well again and stuff like that. So because one of the very first things that'll go is like an animal's appetite, and so even my ferrets, I always love to have just a little bit on the chunky side because that's the first thing that happens is they don't want to eat anymore, and then I want to have a little bit of time where we can address the issues and get them feeling better and get them eating again and not have to worry about their weight already being kind of low. So yeah, I mean we keep them extra chunky at the Vancouver Aquarium. We keep all of our animals extra chunky, and Joey is no exception. So
It's somewhat good to keep your pets a little chunky, not fat but chunky. It's the same thing with
just healthily rotund.
Just
you know?
healthy, like he's got nice fat pads. He's healthy.
Yeah, just very squishable. Very squishable.
We're talking about all this chunkiness, and I'm thinking about all those seals at the Japanese aquariums
that are like bubbles.
Yeah, they're just like more round than they are long. They're like actual circles.
They're like yoga balls with flippers, and a boom, 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 and they don't run across the floor. They bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, there we go. So he's a healthy chunky. He's good to be chunky.
Yeah, no, he's good.
Hope Miko saw that. It's okay that he's chunky. Okay.
Eddie was asking about the lore. There's a lot of lore for Joey.
Yes, there's a lot. We've got names for everything.
Yeah, we can't get into the lore here. That would take way too long. That's head over to JJ's channel. They'll walk you through the lore.
It all started with Carl. Rest in peace, fan. But yeah, but it's a very big lore. That is no longer even if you say go to JJ's channel, I haven't been involved in any sort of lore for a while. The Wigglers have just taken that over. They have run with the stories and the names.
Yeah, it has a mind of its own, and that's
absolutely
that's part of the it's part of the fun of it. And then and everybody's involved, and it becomes in some ways like a family, we're just a weird ass family now.
And it's not just Otters anymore, it's characters. To be perfectly honest, most of my characters of Taz Talks was based on the lore that the Wigglers helped create. So don't at me for credit, but I mean Mac being a truck driver and all that was all Wigglers' idea. Like, he's a truck driver. For some reason he's a truck driver. Besides he's the biggest, kindest boy. It's a very Head over to my channel for all that lore if you want to see it. We'll talk about it for days.
Anyway,
our next question is asking about if Joey has gas.
Because is this related to his roundness?
Chunkiness? Is he
I
bloated?
don't know. I'm guessing it is.
Joey the bagpipe.
They all, like, some animals are just gassy. I haven't noticed him being particularly gassy, but sometimes when they poop, you can see little air bubbles coming through it. So there's definitely otter farts are a real thing. I've heard one once.
I think you even posted it, didn't you? On your Instagram
I think
story.
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cutest little toot. Not a...
Yeah. So they absolutely can have gas, and some animals are just more gassy than others. We have one of our harbor seals is just gassy, like just all the time, and so much so that his butt floats. So like normally when the seals sit in the water, it's just like their head. But his butt is always like right at the surface because he has floaty butt. He's got really gassy, and so like when you can literally watch him farting, and people would like laugh, like guests would come and see, and so there are certain animals that are more gassy than others. I haven't noticed that Joey's more gassy, but and he never seems uncomfortable. Like he'll let you like touch his belly and stuff like that. So I don't think he's gassy. I think he's just chunky, guys. He's just chunky. It's just who he is.
I just imagine the seal being like a submarine ballast and letting all that air out and his little bum sinking. It's like
yeah. It's the seal that you did the video off of. Normally his butt is like super duper floaty. And he doesn't actually sit like that. So
yes, and that answers the question that so many people I've seen ask. Yes, all mammals fart. So do little otters.
Oh yeah,
we've even seen that whale. So they all do it.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. It's just part of the digestive process. Like there just is gas, but yeah.
I'm getting a question here. Do otters have a gallbladder?
Oh, good question. I would assume so. Because I think that almost all mammals do in some way, shape, or form, but I don't actually know. Off to the gallbladder? Off to the Google. What does the gallbladder even do?
Doesn't it release bile or anything like that?
Yeah, but you can live without it. You can live without it.
That's why the poop is brown or yellow. Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Yes, you're right. I think the gallbladder. If you have the gallbladder removed, you really can't eat that much oily food because you get nauseous. The gallbladder does something.
Okay.
Someone can correct me. Something to Google later of what the hell does a gallbladder do, and do otters need it? Because I mean, is their food oily? That's like.
I mean, their food is really oily.
Yeah, so maybe they do.
So, no, that's a really good question. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know the actual answer to the question. So maybe the Google knows.
I will give some advice. Do not Google do sea otters have a gallbladder. Keep safe search
Oh.
on. It is
Oh, no.
I'm getting some weird results here about animal anatomy. Jeez. Oh god. Okay, let's move on to the next question quickly. Yes, gallbladder store bile, by the way. There we go.
Yeah. The next question is, will the otters ever be introduced to other species in the aquarium?
Good question. We talked about this. It was something that, I don't know if you guys have been on my channel when I've talked about how for a while there was a dude who wanted to like have a penguin exhibit that kids could walk through, and there would be capybaras too, and it was like a really weird idea. That same person wanted us to put the otters in with somebody else, and we talked about it. It's just that there wasn't really an animal we could think of that we wouldn't be extremely concerned for the other animal's safety. The otters are just like, they're mischievous. There's not like a single otter who just like leaves things alone. Like name one otter who's like not inclined to like finding trouble. And they basically have hands, so the other animals wouldn't really be able to get away from them. So we just, any way you cut it, we just sort of envisioned a lot of conflict and not really any benefit, because you weigh like cost benefits and those types of things, and there's just like, we have so many otters. The otters have very enriching social lives. Like, why would they need another animal? What would be the benefit? Can't really think of one.
Yes.
There's a possibility that you could do something like one of the things that is being thrown around, and I don't want to we're talking again years away, if it ever even happens, millions and millions of dollars, but is to turn that Wild Coast habitat into the biggest sea otter habitat that anybody's ever seen, like the most world-class, amazing sea otter habitat. And I think that's what all of us kind of want for it. I think that would be really nice. But one of the things that's thrown out then is that we would potentially have like fish and stuff like that in the habitat as well.
Kelp forest?
Yeah, like kind of a kelp forest type of thing. Try to figure out a way to make that happen.
Yes.
Where the otters wouldn't just shred it into 1,000 tiny little pieces. But yeah, so potentially like some sort of fish or like invertebrates and stuff like that might be possible in the future, but right now in their current setup, it's not going to happen.
Because is it genuinely because it's too small or not?
Well, it's actually more the pools themselves. First of all, like to clean them, we have to drop them. Yes. There's no other way to clean them. So then if you've got like a bunch of kelp and other stuff in there, you can't really drop and power wash a pool like that. And then there's also the filters on that pool. There's the disinfection on the pool. So all pools have, like, this is getting into like some crazy stuff, but they have like especially the otters, they have ozone on them. You cannot put any chlorine in the water at all, because it's bad for their fur. So there's zero chlorine, and so there's ozone, which is just like an oxidation process that kills bacteria and stuff like that. And so like that, our filters are not they're like barely holding with what the otters are putting out. So there's not enough power behind those systems. They would need serious upgrades in order to do something different. So and even the skimmers, like they're not built to handle like the debris and stuff like that would come from something like that. But the idea is hopefully they'll get a different home in the distant but hopefully not too distant future. Yeah.
But you raised a valuable thing there about them dropping the pool, because now I'm wondering how Monterey Bay cleans their pool now, because they have the kelp forest, but I do notice their walls are very green.
Yeah, so they may just so they may honestly just have better filtration systems. I bet they do. And then just have like made the decision that they're not going to drop the pools and stuff like that, and maybe found a balance between having some, like, do they have like sea stars and stuff like that in there or anything like that?
I don't know. I see.
They do, I believe.
so.
They have a lot of smaller fish and like,
Okay.
crustaceans.
So
and
maybe
everything.
those animals are kind of like filling the void and helping to clean things.
cleaning,
I don't really know.
They also have dive teams that like scrub all the windows and stuff.
Right. So we would have to dive.
There's definitely other things there that are cleaning, because I mean, the otter just took a big poop just now, and I'm thinking, who's going to clean that? All the crabbies downstairs.
Typically that stuff floats and goes into the skimmers. So depending on what kind of, it's going to depend a lot on what kind of like filtration and what kind of stuff like that they have going on. But yeah, for our current system, like, it's just not feasible.
And just for an update, sea otters do have a gallbladder and a liver, of course. So they do actually possess one. And I hate that I found out, because it was a very scientific website which didn't have pictures, it had photos.
Oh no.
Yeah. You want to see a gallbladder?
Oh, wait, so they have a gallbladder? Because I just found like several diagrams of their intestinal tract, and it does not show one.
Oh,
when do you like?
I'll send
like
you.
really like. Nobody cares about the gallbladder, right? I feel like it gets left out of a lot of diagrams.
It's like, meh.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one had a
it's
cross
kind of
section
just
of an
there.
otter. Well, I wouldn't say cross section. Let me measure my words. Had different sections. But yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna post this link. I'll just no. But there, it's like
people can Google it if they want to. They don't need to.
Please Google it, and you can visit. It's a government fisheries. It's a fisheries website, actually. The government state fishery websites, and they have a nice PDF, and it talks about liver and gallbladders. And then they don't just want to talk about it; they want to make sure that you understand where it is. Dear God.
Okay.
Moving on.
What do we got?
Moving on. How is Quatsi doing?
I have zero idea. No, I don't know. I think she's fine. I don't. Yeah, I haven't seen her. I haven't even met her.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'm sure we'll know soon enough.
How long does it take for the fisheries and board to distinguish whether an otter is releasable or not? What's the process behind that?
Yeah, so usually that happens very, very quickly if the animal is super duper young. So like with Joey, there was never any question. There was never any doubt in anybody's mind that he would be a non-releasable animal. I think it's taking it just a little bit longer for a few reasons. One, probably because Quatsi was a little bit older. She is a little bit more independent. So for a little while there was thought that maybe, just maybe, but it's that little hope kind of died pretty quickly, I think. And secondly, because of the aquarium being sold and some things changing in that area, I imagine that makes paperwork and stuff like that super, super tricky right now. So that would be my guess as to why that's kind of taking a while. Honestly, she may already have been deemed non-releasable and I wouldn't even know about it, and they just haven't brought her over yet. She's just living at the MMRC right now. But I do know that we have plans that she will be here in the near future.
One of the questions, okay, so that answers a question immediately on my side as well. Nice. The other one was, is Quasi also, has she been introduced to any other otters so far?
No.
Simple answer. There we go, folks. Thank you. Move on to the next question. No. Let's keep it as that.
The next question was just, do you know when an otter has to go off camera from watching their behavior? Oh,
I don't control the cameras. So I don't know if this comes from like because I know that sometimes you guys, like the moderators, will have turned the camera away, especially when we've had to separate Katmai and some of those things that are maybe a little bit hard for people to watch, and can be, you know, it can be very easy to misconstrue things that are happening when you're not, you know, you're not an animal professional, and you're not getting like all of the
expert.
So I know that the moderators have turned the cameras away at certain times, and we just completely trust them to do that kind of stuff. We just go about our days. We don't control the cameras. We don't we don't control the animals either, as it turns out. As far as when certain animals are taken off camera, I have zero control or input as to what goes on there. I don't know if that was kind of the question, a little bit confusion about who controls the cameras, but it's not me. Thank goodness too, because I don't have that kind of time. Like, it's a full-time job.
Yeah, so you got to worry about the actual animal care. But I think I want to reiterate the point of how much we must actually trust the trainers when they say something.
I think maybe they're talking about when we
take like Joey and Katmai to the back, or not Katmai, Katmai to the back. Is there a specific reason for that, or is it just for...
Yeah, so we talked a little... It depends. There's lots of different reasons. Mainly the reasons right now being that, like, we wouldn't really want to have a habitat that has 7 otters in it. At least not for an extended period of time. Like, it'll be fine to, like, clean pools and stuff like that when it's only for a couple hours, but, like, if it has to be for days, it's not ideal. So we have a bunch of, like, spare pools in the back. So last week, the reason that Joey and Taz and at times Kunik were in the back was because we had to have a crane brought in to move Helen, our dolphin, out of the aquarium.
Yes, okay, yes.
And so the crane pulls up right next to the otter habitat, and it lifts things up in the air, and it's just better to not have animals in that pool. Not only would they probably be pretty freaked out about it, but also we just don't want the risk of anything being dangled over, potentially dropping into the habitat. It just eliminates a lot of questions and a lot of problems. So they were moved to the back for that reason. I mean, so there's like lots of different reasons. If an animal is sick, sometimes the vet staff likes to have them in the back where there's a little bit more control over the situation. Maybe they can be alone, a little bit quieter, closer to the vet staff who are in the back. So there's lots of different reasons that animals can be moved around to different areas. And then it was Kunik and Joey in the back, and then we had to switch it out because then Katmai was all over Taz. So so there's lots of different shuffling and reasons, and the reasons change all the time. So there's not like just one solid reason that an animal gets moved to the back.
The crane, that would have definitely... I think we've on live stream experienced that in small when someone was fixing the light and Joey was in the pool by himself, and how bedazzled he was at this people fixing the lights. Even sometimes when there's just people on the roof, things like that, like the animals react, and so oftentimes we'll try to avoid any like just unnecessarily terrifying the animals is generally avoided. In relation to that, obviously there'll be a time and a stage when Vernacular will be open to the people and things like that. Is there will there be a period, I know I'm asking a general question, but will there be a general period of adjustment for Joey? I mean, from not having humans looking at him to all of a sudden humans. Is this something that the otters easily adjust to?
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think there's going to be any sorts of issues with that. I mean, and Joey has had people looking at him. When he was in the shack, I mean, people were just like all over. Like he was the main exhibit at the aquarium, basically. So And they do still have, like, people do still walk by and look at them. So it's not like zero people have been looking at them, and the otters tend to be very interested in what the people are doing. So they're certainly not reacting like if anything, they're very curious and excited about seeing people. Yeah. So what's going to happen very quickly is that they'll get bored of the people, and then they'll stop interacting with people at the windows. And that's the way that it used to be. Is you would never really see the otters interacting with people at the windows, and now they just love to chase us at the windows. And it's because it's a novelty now. It's it's different. It's the same when we talk about enrichment and how you want to change things out. The people are enrichment essentially. So I'm not worried about him. I think he's going to be fine. The one thing that they do is he might get a little freaked out when the umbrellas come out, because there's a lot of umbrellas in Vancouver. Sometimes when somebody pops an umbrella right by the otter habitat, the otter's like, whoa! But they're fine.
I mean, Joe gets a fright when Tazzy sneezes, which is the cutest thing ever. It's okay. Humans
I saw that
too. Yes,
that was so really, really funny. Yeah, I saw that little clip. It's hilarious.
Someone asked here, sorry, I'm stealing the question. In terms of when the otters get released and who decides that, who are the people and their qualifications, and how many people are in that group that get to decide in the ballpark? Yeah, that's a very in-depth question.
I don't actually know. I mean, it's the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. They're obviously experts on marine mammals, but they do rely a lot on our input as well. So if we say it, like our voice is considered when they make their decisions about things. With sea otters, it's very cut and dry, pretty much. If you are a young abandoned sea otter, you're non-releasable. So sorry. And it's pretty. They have pretty set guidelines as well for animals like cetaceans, and I don't think it's the same with seals. Seals are pretty like good to do whatever, but with cetaceans, if they're under human care for more than 6 months, they're pretty much automatically deemed non-releasable. And even though that's not like it's not like a magic thing happens after 6 months where an animal becomes habituated to human care, but they have to have like those hard guidelines so that there aren't any questions. Like, it's not somebody's opinion, it's just that these are the rules, and that's why we made those decisions. So a lot of times that's going on. As far as how many people are making this, honestly, I have zero idea who's making these decisions or how many of them are there. I do not know. Maybe somebody else does. Maybe you can Google that. I don't know.
Yes, that's something to Google, people.
Here come the little goslings. They're waddling their way in.
Oh gosh, I need to change to Critivision just now. Although these otters are being cute. We've established that no matter where in the world, there are otters that pacify. That they stick their paw in the mouth.
Yeah. It's an oral I always call it like an oral fixation, but it's just a comfort thing. Look at these idiots. Goslings are so funny. So like humans do it too. You suck your thumb, and even adults will do similar like comforty types of things. Even if it's not like sucking on their thumb or something like that. Yes. But you do, like, people enjoy chewing gum. Yes. That's an oral fixation. It doesn't serve any purpose except for like you doing weird stuff with your mouth because it's comforting for you in a strange way. So all animals will have some sort of thing that they do for comfort. And then with a lot of the animals that are like Joey and Taz, they never had moms. They were not weaned by their moms in like a natural way. So that in and of itself like is a greater chance that you're going to develop some sort of oral fixation, because it's essentially just a nursing behavior. And when you don't have you're not ever weaned like in a proper way, the way that mom would do, because mom's always going to do a better job than we as humans can do. So So that's essentially where that comes from. We have sea lions who do it as well, who were young when they lost their mothers, and they like to suck on their flippers, or they like to suck on different parts of the habitat and stuff like that. And it's it's just it's a product of not not having been weaned,
Yes.
essentially by mom. So
Which I've seen a lot of cats do that when they're not weaned proper. Kittens, they don't.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah.
They
sure.
end up carry on sucking their paw, sucking on a blanket. But as you said, it's just like
Yeah.
a human. It's like.
Yeah.
Although now you've just basically revealed if there are people still out there doing these sort of comfort things, they didn't get weaned properly as a baby. It's
well, I mean, it could be though. It could be.
My brain just exploded like. What?
Yeah, it really could be. I mean, and it's not like I said, it's not a bad thing unless it's like harming the animals in some way. Like I don't know. I've talked a little bit. My brother used to suck his thumb so much that like the skin would start to come off in certain areas, and we had to break him of that because obviously that's damaging to himself, and then sometimes people don't want their kids to do it because it's messing up their teeth and stuff like that. So So it's but the way that the otters do it's not hurting them in any way. It's not hurting any other otters. It's not harming them, and it's just a comforting behavior. And all animals, need to have some kind of comforting thing that they do. Everybody has something they do before bed. Like I like to read right before I go to sleep and stuff like that. And it is just a coping, comforting behavior. So. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Next question.
Okay, we have this question from your Discord, JJ.
Yes.
It's a question about Joey was trying to become intimate with Katmai, and are there plans to neuter him?
I love that we're describing it as he was trying to be intimate.
Trying to be intimate, like take it to a movie.
Yeah. No, I love it. So there is a definite possibility that in the future Joey will be either neutered or placed on the same implant and birth control that the other males are. It is right now our vet staff does not believe that he is sexually mature, so capable. He may be capable of practicing, but he is probably not. He's probably shooting blanks right now. So it's not a huge concern. Also, he doesn't really look like he knows what he's doing, But yeah, in the future, it's also like it's one of those things where neutering them at a little bit too young of an age can potentially like hinder growth and stuff like that. Right. So typically they like to wait until an animal is full grown and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely something that will likely happen in the future.
As just with any adolescent, no matter where in the animal kingdom, it seems. But you've mentioned that before about how important it is for even pets to have them neutered late because it could impede some sort of growth in hormones.
Yeah. I mean, not late, but follow your vet's your vet's advice on this. I'm not a veterinarian, but it is and getting your animals spayed and neutered is super important and helps them to be happier and healthier animals and helps to keep the populations down. So.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, something like that will be on board for Joey for sure in the future.
I'm watching the Critter Vision now. Those are really big gosling.
they are. They're like goose-sized goslings.
Yes. They're like ready to take the car keys away from mom. Hey, mom.
I know. Their voices are changing. Yeah.
Quack. Oh gosh. No, honk. Like the geese. Honk. Like not even small sound.
They also just decimated that water supply. It's all gross and that. They're like, why'd you have to sit in it? Come on,
now
man.
The squirrel's gonna come in. Yeah, I'm thirsty. Ooh, wait. What's all these black things in here?
Gross.
Oh, that's so cute though. But he had one of those. Speaking of the Critter Vision, if you're watching, you're talking about ruined food. One of the geese was actually standing on the highest platform, in the food.
I know.
Being a king.
They were totally disrespectful. They just like rolled in there, destroyed everything on that side of the screen, and then were like, "See you later."
And there's Gary at the bottom. They're like, "Look what they did." And there's a scroll like, "Oh, this water's not right. No, next." Oh god, did they leave anything behind? Okay, we can move on to the next question. It's very addictive.
Yeah. Our next question is asking about Helen and why was she moved?
Yeah, so Helen was the only dolphin we had at the Vancouver Aquarium, and because of a ruling from the Parks Board, that we can get into if you want, but it's a long story. We're not allowed to have any cetaceans in the future. So there was no hope of getting her any friends here, and it was decided that the aquarium would move away from having cetaceans, which are those whales, dolphins, porpoises, at the Vancouver Aquarium. So for a long time, we've been trying to move her places. Literally, this has been years in the making. And found a home for her, and then finally, we found a home for her, and then COVID hit, and then we were stuck in the same, debacle where you can't really move things. Planes were being used to move vaccines, and not, So anyway, long story short, she has a home, and I've gotten lots of pictures and lots of videos, and she has a pod of 7 other lags or Pacific white-sided dolphins now. So yeah, she moved very well. She was totally safe the whole time, and which is great, because moving those animals can be is definitely something that is not done lightly. You don't just pack her up and go for a road trip. So she did really, really well. She is doing really, really well, and she'll live out her life at SeaWorld San Antonio is where she is.
Oh, SeaWorld. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's got like a massive facility for it, so there's a lot of space.
Yeah. They live with belugas too, which is kind of cool.
And I'm going to answer it because I did the research of the one. San Antonio SeaWorld has changed a lot of their policies, okay? There are a lot of their policies. They changed with the rest of America and the rest, so...
there's no better place for her.
There's no better place. They've got a massive pool for... Well, I say pool, but it's basically a miniature ocean. So and a lot of them, gosh, I saw the setup, it was amazing. So actually, because my question was going to ask, because of this ruling in that, what happens in the case of these cetaceans that they can't be released or they need to go? So is this what decides where they're going to go as a home?
Yeah, it's a hard question. So they have said that there's kind of like a bit of leeway for that. So like potentially we could still rehabilitate those animals. The tricky part becomes if you don't have whales or dolphins under human care. Like the reason that we would always do those types of rescues, and we were called all throughout Canada to do those types of rescues, because nobody else has that experience. And so as of the second that Helen left, our experience starts to dwindle, essentially, So, if I leave or if other people leave, well, there's no longer, that experience to rehabilitate those animals. Yes. So eventually it will probably become a situation where we are not doing that type of stuff just because we don't have the expertise to do it anymore, which is the problem that these geese are so silly. Which is the problem. Yeah, I know. Which is the problem that we were, kind of trying to convey to them is that like the only reason that you can do rescue and rehab is because you have these animals under human care. Yes. It's like nobody rescued whales, dolphins, or porpoises before having them under human care. It's like it's not a chicken and egg situation. It literally has to be like you have to have them. So there probably will come a time where that's not something that the Vancouver Aquarium does. For the time being, I think if something were to happen in the next few years, we would still be able to like rehabilitate those animals. And then if they're non-releasable, we could probably house them temporarily with the knowledge that we would be sending them somewhere else at some point in time. But but yeah, it's a really tricky question, and there's a lot
there's no true answer that is definite. It is wrong, it is right. It's, as you said, there's so much variance to it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those funny things where, for me, I don't really understand why people care more about cetaceans than they do about
Everything else.
all the other animals. They're all important.
Yes.
And of course you might have to, you've got to have bigger habitats. You've got to have, dolphins and stuff like that require specialized care, but so do all the animals. It's just, it's one of those, like, when the activists and people who have zero experience and zero expertise are the loudest and got their way, unfortunately. So
unfortunately, that is the case. People that make the most noise reach a lot of ears. We can see there's people that have been, okay, it's none of the wigglers, but there's been a lot of people that have gone on the sidetrack to protest about what's happening with Joey and that, and there's nothing wrong. But people end up listening, and there's nothing. They're fighting, they're hurting each other. Really? Where do you see this? Because they're perfectly okay. They don't walk out with bandages or that. And as much as caregivers, and even scientific people like yourself, try to explain the benefits of certain things, there's always going to be the people that don't listen. And if you don't believe
there's just those armchair activists,
it's wrong. But you make a good point. But it is on the aspect that I think, as with everything, you get attached to a trend that started somewhere, and then people just go with it with the whale trend, because it's
sexy. It's sexy to hate having whales and dolphins in human care. But I mean, I think that done really well, I think that any animal can be can be housed under human care, and it can be a benefit to not just that animal's species, but to people and to education and stuff like that. There's so many things that we've learned from having animals under human care that just absolutely would not have been learned had it never happened. So and not to mention, it inspires people, and you guys are firsthand
examples
of that. If we didn't have sea otters under human care, we wouldn't be here, and not as many people would care about sea otters.
Absolutely. I went I had no idea what a sea otter was until last year August. And now all of a sudden I'm just sea otter crazy. I push bunnies down the list of cute animals. I'm like, sorry, but it's really made a difference, and the amount of support and donations, I really think. And as you mentioned, I think the biggest part that's always been a concern with me with this cetaceans story and that is, as you said, if we don't have animals under care, how do veterinarians and vet technicians practice? Because science is always a practice. They're not going to know.
For sure.
So it's a bit of a subject, but moving on to the next question.
Unless you have something on your side, I don't see any more questions.
Let me see up, because a lot of people got into the conversation as well, and I thank you. Has Vancouver Aquarium ever experienced really bad storms, and do the animals get scared for the bad weather? Are they put indoors?
We don't typically have in the truer, I'm from Colorado, so everything that happens here, when people are like, oh my god, it's so windy, I'm like, you have no idea what wind really is. But there is a lot of old growth forests around, and so any kind of wind sometimes will snaps trees and stuff like that. I mean, full trees have fallen over with the slightest of breezes. You guys would be surprised. But some of that will kind of freak out the animals, super windy weather. When we had belugas, they used to be terrified when it would snow.
Snow.
So stupid. It almost never happened, but when it did, we would go to do a show, and we'd have to tell our interpreter who runs the show, sorry, there's a high likelihood that absolutely nothing's gonna happen during this show, because the belugas are just huddled underneath the water, what is it? Yeah. What is happening? So some I feel our animals are so accustomed to nothing happening except for just a little bit of rain every once in a while, that when the slightest thing happens, they're definitely whoa, what's going on?
Yes.
So we have had to worry a little bit about at a couple of those dry times, we actually had fires in the park. And the whole sky would be completely dark, and had to worry a little bit about things like that. But yeah, typically they're not super bothered by a whole heck of a lot. But yeah, every once in a while when it gets really windy or if it snows, they're kind of I don't know if the otters especially seem to just really like it when it snows.
Yes, it's like ice cream from the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Sky treats are falling. But yeah, we don't really have like too crazy bad things. Like it doesn't really hail that much and stuff like that. So, but I was just thinking, I was like, man, hail would be kind of fun. Like if it was like a small size hail for the otters, like
what?
just like
what is this?
Yeah.
I just imagine him looking around for the trainers and be like, but they're not here. They have a really strong arm. They're throwing these from where? Oh gosh, yes, hail would be awesome. So, obviously the small kind, people. The small kind.
The small kind. Yeah, so yeah, they're not typically bothered by too much. But yeah, we do have very mild weather here in Vancouver.
I think humans are more scared of thunder and lightning than animals are.
We don't really get thunder and lightning here.
Yeah.
Which is I miss it. They have big thunderstorms back in Colorado, and I used to love it. So we don't really get thunder and lightning very often. So I don't even know what the animals are like when that happens, honestly, because it's so rare.
It's so foreign. How many goslings do these ducks have? They're like of different age groups. They don't have a breeding cycle as well. They're just anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, these ones were a little late for sure. But these ones only have 2. I'm like, what happened to all of your other ones? Like,
oh yeah, that's a sense, no. But like, no, we just want to. We are small.
Probably got eaten by the other ones, the giant
giant goslings. They're like dinosaurs. Yeah. Gosh. We have one other question here before we can wrap things up. Is oh god, I should have looked at this question before I said we have a question, but I'll read it out anyway. Will Joey have the same fate as Hardy and be moved overseas to live his life with a personal harem because he's Canadian too?
Okay, you guys are also taking me out of context here. I said that could happen. I didn't say it's going to happen. I said it could happen. It is possible. So the only it would be a lot trickier for us to move the American otters overseas than it is to move the Canadian otters overseas. Now, don't really ask me why, because I can't, there's a whole process and there's a reason. Yes. Trust the process. So I think it just has to do with the fact that, like, how they're classified in the US is a little bit different than how they're classified in Canada. So basically the Canadian otters are the primary, like objects for who would be moving if we did move otters overseas. The Canadian otters would probably be the ones to go. So there is a possibility that would happen. I'm not saying that it's a likelihood or that it is going to happen. I'm not even saying that it's like highly likely. I don't even think that it is highly likely, but there is a possibility that some of the otters could not be with us for their entire lives. But it's not to be seen as a bad thing either. You'll be able to follow them no matter where they go. They'll always be, a part of things, and especially if they start doing like renovations on habitats and stuff like that, that's when you don't have necessarily the space for a bunch of animals and stuff like that. And maybe they'll some otters will go some other place, we may get other otters. Like it's a whole cycle, it's a whole process, it's all for the benefit of the animals. Make sure that they're
But it's nice to know that people have been listening to the AMAs because they remembered that from the last time.
I know. They remember it, but they always take me just slightly out of context. Just slightly. I'm like, I mentioned it one time and all of a sudden it was like, Hardy's leaving, he's European now. Like, no.
You said a whole entire sentence and then eventually they start forgetting the little parts. We all
I know. They're like, Hardy's out. That's all we took away from Hardy.
And it's amazing the difference. Like, but you just mentioned American. Like, if you get discovered a little bit higher, you're in Alaska. Now
I know.
You're American.
I know, it's so that red tape and everything around that stuff is so annoying and so silly sometimes. But
y'all need to do something about Alaska. NATO's right there. Just pop on over to the border and be like, hey, listen, you're a country out of a country. Just take it back. That's a little bit of political thing on the side. Just take it back.
yeah.
Okay,
so
I don't
no.
see any other questions here. So I think we've made good time. And we ended
that
up.
wasn't bad at all.
It shows when we have no topic to talk about, we just immediately divert back to otters. It's just always going to be about otters.
It's fine.
When are we going to talk about walruses?
Well, we can talk about walruses. You know I'm down to talk about walruses whenever.
We have not had a subject there, and I think because my question to you, and we can leave that for maybe another topic. Did we?
We did. We talked about pinnipeds when I had
Jess.
When I had Jess on the show.
Oh
we were talking about
yes, we did. We talk about walruses. I almost forgot.
But we can do it again.
It's like just almost like because it's like why or yes, I remember like why are walruses cute, and then you introduced all the faces and the lips.
Yeah. No, we definitely will be a little bit more organized. We'll come out with something for next week. Whether it's a specific type of. I know you guys have one in Wales, Allegria. Like they've got. Have you seen that, JJ? There's a walrus off the coast of Wales right now.
Yes, it made it to even the late night shows.
Yeah, he's just chilling there. Like that's
Irish.
He's just like cool. Yeah, he's like all right. Sweet. He's like, can I have a Guinness? What's up?
Yeah. Would that be any effect of global warming, or just he just fell asleep and decided this is where I'm gonna go?
It's hard to say. It's a younger animal, so I don't know if he just got lost or what happened there. Typically, I wouldn't think that like with global warming he would go further south. But it definitely could be just that like things are so wacky right now, or maybe he was like following food down there and he's just following the food and that's where he happened to go. He doesn't look sick or anything. Like he looks really
just chilled.
Yeah. So I don't really know. I mean, it could just be like a one-off, like unless we start seeing like, okay, now there's a herd of walruses off the coast of Wales. Well, then we have like something that's maybe a bigger issue. Yeah. But because it's just one animal, he probably just he took a wrong turn, like a really wrong turn. And then he wouldn't ask for directions because men are like that. And
take a lift at Albuquerque.
Yeah, and now he's down there. I don't know.
But look, he's building so much awareness for the walrus. It shows what happens when you put an animal in front of the camera. Now everyone's talking about walruses.
Yeah,
so that's a good thing, I guess. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and will he find his way home? I don't honestly know. It probably he's going to need a little help if they want him to go back. I mean, I think as long as he's not disturbing anything and he looks like he's healthy, they're going to leave him where he is. But there's a possibility they may have to have some human intervention if he's not looking good or something like that in the future. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's fun to watch right now. So
yeah, it is. But no, thank you very much. I had a question here. Guys, if you want to post questions about the AMA, I mean, obviously we do it live, but you got my channel and you got KP's channel that you can go post on her Discord as well. Any questions about the AMA, post there. Reiha sometimes has a spreadsheet that you guys can actually use to ask these questions. So if I see some people say we don't know where to post questions, please, visit both, subscribe to both our channels, subscribe to KP's channel. Are you going to be streaming after this? It's a question I ask every week.
Yeah, I think we'll stick around and chat for a little while longer.
I'm absolutely loving your deeper dive episodes. They're like such a change.
Good. It's it's a whole theatrical thing now. It's coming together really nicely. We found some really good music and found our stride a little bit, so I really like them too.
I have to give you credit. Thank you for putting the TAS talks in one of the episodes. I was like, it's like email Tiny Tuber. Look, it's in there. But no, it's very good production quality footage. It's almost good as the Cottage Life stuff. I know they've got a whole crew there and that, but y'all it's like the same type of quality, the credits, everything.
Thank you.
Please go watch. I've just put a link on my side If you're not already on a Twitch channel, please go follow it. And hopefully when you're on that side, maybe you can drop a YouTube channel so you can go subscribe to the deeper dives. But
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yep.
And
And for anyone with questions, just keep an eye out on the AMA
Yes.
channels on KP server or JJ's server, because I do post the form there when we have a topic.
yeah. And it will
You,
be
you
pinned.
tag everyone when you do that, don't you?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do tag everyone.
And they are pinned. If you don't see them, they will be pinned on the Discord. So, yeah.
Okay. I should do that too.
Unless Reiha has already done it for you.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So they will be named AMA. But thank you. And we also got the TAS Talk. Thank you, KP, for being on the latest TAS Talk. That was very entertaining.
Oh yeah, that was super fun. I watched that. I
Thank you
loved it.
so much. But thank you very much, everyone. And we will catch you next week. And look forward to the next topic, whichever that's going to be. You'll find out on our Discords. Thanks, KP.
You can find out. Have a good day.
Cheers.
Bye.
Okay.